Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have a pregnant woman who saw this weird, frightening entity, and this encounter with basically Bigfoot, aliens, and other weird phenomena. Both accounts are truly bizarre, folks, so let's get into the first account. Pregnant woman confronts a sinister entity inside her home, and hear exactly how she dealt with it, and if, well, she could basically live with what happened. Let's read on, folks. An early evening inside a private residence in the United States, a young pregnant woman experienced an encounter that left her shaken to her core. What began as an ordinary moment quickly escalated into a terrifying confrontation that she believes was directed at her unborn child. Reports like this raise disturbing questions about vulnerability, perception, and why pregnancy appears repeatedly in certain extreme encounter narratives. Let's get into the actual story now. Hello, I am 6 months pregnant now, but before I even knew for certain, I already knew my husband and I had only been trying for a short time. But I dreamed I was pregnant, and something inside me confirmed it. Even before the tests showed positive, my body and my mind knew the truth. When the pregnancy was confirmed, we were overwhelmed with happiness. I have never suffered from mental illness. There is no history of it in my family. I am a positive person by nature, grounded, rational, and emotionally stable. That is why what happened to me has been so deeply disturbing. This occurred yesterday around 5:50 in the evening. My husband had just arrived home from work. I was still sweeping the kitchen, and the front door was open with only the screen closed. I could hear him clearly as he asked if I wanted to go for a walk. I told him I would be right out and went to our bedroom to grab my keys. As soon as I entered the room, a crushing sense of fear rushed over me. It was immediate and overwhelming. I felt watched. The air felt heavy, oppressive, and wrong. I could not explain it, but I knew something was there. Above my closet is a storage space built near the ceiling. I keep old items there, things I no longer use, but something else was there too. I could feel it watching me. I am Catholic. I believe in God, and I believe in evil as well. In that moment, I knew without doubt that what was there was not human. I believed it was the devil himself. As I moved through the room, I could feel its attention fixed on me. I knew instinctively and immediately that it wanted my unborn son. That knowledge filled me with terror. I avoided looking directly at it, grabbed my keys from the bed, and turned away. But something compelled me to glance back, and that is what I regret most. It was sitting upright on its legs, similar to how a dog sits when waiting expectantly. Thick chains with heavy cuffs wrapped around its lower limbs. Its feet were unnatural. One resembled a hoof, the other was distorted, almost like a chicken foot, but still vaguely human. Its skin was a grayish-brown tone. Its face was human in structure, but its eyes were cruel and intelligent. It was smiling, not kindly, but with enjoyment. The look it gave me is burned into my memory. I believe with every part of myself that if I locked eyes with it, it would have taken my child. I forced myself to remain calm, though I was screaming inside. I walked out of the room with tears streaming down my face. Once I reached my husband, I broke down and tried to explain what had happened. I was hysterical. He struggled to understand, though he has done everything he can to make me feel safe. I know what I saw. I know what I felt before I ever saw it. This was not imagination. This was not hormones. I had not watched anything frightening. I was happy moments before. Now I am terrified to be in my own home. I feel watched. I do not know why this happened or why my child was targeted, but I know it was real T. It sounds like T had a truly frightening experience. What was this entity here, folks? Was it really a demonic being, the devil himself? It could be, folks. Maybe he's just having fun with these mortals, or maybe this is an entirely different entity. Maybe, and I'm going out on a stretch here, folks, this is a protective entity here to protect the family. I have my doubts about that, folks. The chains basically bear in mind to me maybe this entity is tied to the house or the land itself, but that's what I can only just guess at, folks. This entity does sound evil, though, but maybe there's, well, silver in this, a silver lining to all of this, I should say. But I can't be for sure. Either way, a truly enlightening encounter. But let's move on to the next article. One of the oddest encounters ever. Incident in Orange County, California raises questions of metamorphic phenomena. Where basically, in this account, folks, we see an entity apparently change shape, as well as basically we have, well, an instance of a UFO as well. So let's get into it now. In the summer of 1996, a late-night walk through a quiet commercial area in Orange County became the setting for one of the most perplexing encounter reports ever submitted to Phantoms and Monsters. The account, recorded privately and never intended for publication, describes a sequence of events that defies conventional classification as a UFO, cryptid, or humanoid. Even decades later, the implications and Well, they do remain deeply unsettling, folks, so let's continue. The following narrative was found among the personal effects of a deceased witness and years later forwarded by his son, who believed the account to be genuine based on his father's character and lifelong description. In the summer of 1996, the witness lived with his family in northern Orange County, California. One evening, while his wife was visiting relatives, he decided to walk to a nearby restaurant for a late dinner. After finishing his meal, he began the short walk home, cutting through a vacant parking lot. While crossing the lot, he noticed a square-shaped illuminated object hovering overhead. The object descended slightly, but emitted no sound. A pulsating white light was visible on its underside. After several seconds, the object abruptly vanished. The witness stood frozen for several minutes, unsure of what he had just seen, and half expecting the object to reappear. Continuing on, he exited the lot into a well-lit alleyway. It was there that he noticed a strange figure ahead, partially concealed as it peered through a row of hedges. Alarmed, he crouched behind a parked car to avoid being seen. The figure appeared humanoid but unnatural. It stood approximately 4 to 5 feet tall and looked frail. It wore a single-piece light blue bodysuit with an iridescent sheen. High black boots covered its feet, and the soles emitted a faint glow. The head was large and bald, with a pronounced chin, small round eyes, no visible ears, and an expressionless face. The entity appeared to move with difficulty, as if impaired or unsteady. The witness watched as the being examined the hedges and rummaged briefly through a garbage can before disappearing behind a nearby garage. Moments later, he heard a series of unusual popping sounds coming from the same direction. After several minutes passed without further movement, curiosity overtook fear. The witness cautiously approached the garage. At that moment, a second entity emerged directly into the alley. This figure was tall and powerfully built, with long dark hair. It resembled an ape-like humanoid and wore no clothing. Its arms were elongated, and its eyes glowed an intense red. Most disturbing was its appearance, which the witness described as partially insubstantial, as though it were not entirely solid, more like a projection or hologram than a physical being. The entity emitted several low grain sounds, turned away, and ran down the alley toward a wooded area at the far end. The witness eventually made it home, only to realize that what should have been a brief walk of a few blocks had taken more than 2 hours. Disturbed and confused, he chose not to report the incident, convinced that no one would believe him. He later confided in his pastor and a fellow church member, but both dismissed the account. Over the years, he returned to the alley several times, searching unsuccessfully for physical evidence. He became convinced that what he witnessed may have been a metamorphic event, and later wondered whether the ape-like entity could have been related to the Sasquatch phenomena. The witness ended his letter by requesting further insight and discreet consultation with other researchers should it be deemed appropriate. The letter was unsigned. Okay, folks, maybe our witness here did indeed see Sasquatch. It's been said that basically, well, Sasquatch has mystical powers. Maybe what he saw was a Sasquatch that had such powers, folks. Maybe it disguised itself as some, well, bizarre alien being, pretty much right out of basically Buck Rogers from basically the description of the costume it wore, folks, before it transformed into its true form. Remember, this alien entity was seen searching through garbage cans, which is an behavior that Bigfoot has been known to have. So maybe this entity transformed into this alien-like entity, basically as a disguise, but I have my doubts. It could have been an actual alien that was curious about Earth, folks, and then transformed into various other forms as a way, to help it in its search and exploration of the Earth. Maybe it turned to Bigfoot because it also knows these entities exist too, folks. Either way, a truly bizarre story. But what about the first account with this devil or demon-like entity, or maybe jinn, that was seen by this pregnant woman? Its behavior does suggest it was interested in the unborn child, but then again, maybe it was feeding on the mother and the child simultaneously, folks. Remember, she was suddenly overcome with fear and fright at this entity, folks. Maybe it was feeding on that and had no real interest in the unborn child. We can't be for sure. Either way, both accounts are of unknown phenomena that leave you perplexed at the real meaning of it all. But maybe one day, folks, we'll get more answers to what is actually going on. But we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure at the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications. And please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.